And the session's on Slight Unlock. It's about using iPads with early years kids and primary pupils, and particularly pupils with additional support needs. Professionally, I'm currently a computing teacher at a secondary school in Edinburgh, Castlebury Community High School. I've recently been a development officer with Edinburgh Council. I've worked in special needs schools. I do lots with digital media and social media. But here I am today as a parent. I am the mum to Louis. Louis is 3. He has an undiagnosed and will probably stay undiagnosed condition that affects his motor skills. So he can't sit up, he can't stand, he can't communicate, he can't talk because I think it's 120 muscles that are involved in speaking, and he can't coordinate all of those. But he's a bright kid and he knows lots of words. It scares me at times what he knows. And one of the ways we've realised that how bright he is, how well he can communicate, is using an iPad. And that's really helped us. He has a traditional Dynavox communication device, I'm not here to slate Dynavox. They do a brilliant job. Their kit is great, and other companies that do AAC devices, assistive and augmentative communication devices. For anybody who hasn't seen one or used one, they're like a very sturdy, rugged laptop with a big speaker in it, with squares, and you use the squares to chain up sentences. And some of them have scenes in them, so you could have a scene of a park or a school classroom or a bathroom, and pressing different areas in the scene gives you different vocabulary. There is a downside to them. My son's Dynavox costs £6,500, and that's a standard price. That's nothing special. That's you know, his wheelchair costs a lot of money because he needs a particular type of wheelchair. This is just a bog standard AAC device. That is how much they cost. It's a huge amount of money. And there's a lot of kids in our schools who could benefit from one, but don't necessarily classify as the traditional, this child needs an AAC device. And those kids might hugely benefit from an alternative, such as an iPad or a tablet machine. I'm kind of talking about iPads today, but there are other options. Android devices also have communication stuff on them, but I haven't got experience of those, so we're kind of branded today, I'm afraid. I'll talk about the actual costs in a minute, but you're talking at the most £800 rather than £6,500. And it still seems a lot of money, but it's a lot cheaper. And it's more adaptable, it can do more, it can do far more. So today I'll talk about the AAC software that you can get for iPads, as well as all the other software that could be of use in different parts of the curriculum. So firstly, there are lots of different apps. And they range from very, very simple, yes, no. I think this app's 59p. So they start off cheap, and you can adapt it to more finished. So very, very simple things. And that might be the skill level, that might be the mobility level of a child, and that might be useful to some people, that it might just be selecting between 2 options. I don't know if you know Big Mac buttons. Some kids use Big Mac buttons, big, huge switch buttons. You can get an iPad version of these, and you can program it to say different things. In the same way with a Big Mac, you would record a message and then give it to the child to say that message. You could do the same thing for this, except the messages are saved and you can very quickly switch between the two. It's very easy to record a message, and it means it's in your voice. They're very simple and very cheap apps, but some of them struggle, such as the Voice for You, struggle because one of the problems is getting the graphics, and that seems to be the expensive part of developing an app, a communication app. So some of them are quite limited in terms of just having the vocabulary, having the graphics for that. It's easy to add new things, but and you could take photos and add them into some of these apps as well, and they have different categories. Some get around the problem of not having the sort of the graphics, the hand-drawn illustrations, by having photos. Again, that limits you when you talk about concepts of want or love or dream. How do you express that as a photo? That then becomes quite difficult. But this Alexicom is again a fairly cheap app, and it's good for the simple chores of, let's put the ingredients that you're about to cook with, for example. Stepping up again, you've got AAC Speech Buddy, and the advantage of this app is it works for the iPhone and the iPad, but you can program it on a computer. So on their web-based interface, you can actually set up sort of templates that can be shared with lots of kids in a class, for example, or shared with other teachers. Tap Speak Choice is another option. Very simple options. And what's quite nice is that they've got different core vocabularies. Again, quite limited, but there's other vocabularies that libraries of vocabulary that you can load up there. The nice thing about Tap Speak Choice is there's a search facility, so there you can search for eat, and it gives you lots of different options for eating. But it also works with a switch device. So you can actually have a Bluetooth switch device that a kid could use to control an iPad if they're not able to use the touch interface. The kind of industry standard for AAC apps is Proloquo to go at the moment. It's a nice app. You can change a lot of the functionality, the settings of it, so you can have small icons, large icons. You can change the colours, so if you've got someone who would prefer a yellow background or a pink background, then that can be customised to the individual child. You can add in photos if you want to. You can add in your own vocabulary, and you set up your own layouts. And it's got a large vocabulary at the start as well, which is nice. It takes a lot of time to program up these communication apps and Dynavoxes as well, communication devices, for the vocabulary. So picking one with a large vocabulary is very important, and there's a few there. But Proloquo to go has a fairly large vocabulary and nice iconic pictures as well. Touch Chat is becoming a contender as well. It's a fairly expensive price. I think it's £100. Proloquo to go is £130, just to give you an idea. Touch Chat is £100, or it's £200 with I think 5,000 words vocabulary. So you can't buy that vocabulary retrospectively, unfortunately, which is the one thing I don't quite like about the company's way of doing things, is you've got to buy at the start to get that vocabulary. But what they do have is scenes, which Proloquo to go doesn't have at the moment. They've got nice scenes where you've got a zoo or a bathroom or whatever, and you can program in hotspots of the areas where you press on the giraffe and it gives you a giraffe. It says a giraffe. A nice new one that's about I think 30 quid is Seen and Heard.